Hey man, what it is? This is Dean, and I am your host, and this is By Any Means. Y'all already know the cash app, man. $ Dean by any means. Hit that PayPal at Dean by any means. Y'all see that heart with the $ man, at the bottom, man. Press that at any time your heart desire. Please say it with me, y'all. I don't care if you leave $1, $10, $1,000. It is much, much appreciated, y'all. Hey, y'all, I just want to let y'all know that I figured it out, man. Um, when it comes to the whole why people even defend Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Sr., it's the same reason why I told y'all that Geron Ennis is the new Gervonta Davis. And just bear with me because I'm gonna correlate all of these things together. When people was talking about, I was on KO Boxing panel a couple days ago, and we just chopping it up about everything that was going on. Obviously, Senior was sending threats at my guy, saying what he was going to do when he see him, and all of this nonsense. But because he's an Earthman, you dig what I'm saying? That's what Earthmen do. But so anybody was asking me, Dean, what's an Earthman? Brian Norman Sr. and Bill Haney. But anyway, the reason why people even try to defend it against with Brian Norman is because they are the same people that want what Brian Norman Jr. is doing to be able to do to Gervonta Davis. Because they seen it happen with Terence Crawford and Earl Spence. All of these guys are in the same ilk. The reason why people like Brian Norman Jr., that's Terence Crawford fans, because he spars with Terence Crawford or had sparred with Terence Crawford, and he speaks very highly of Terence Crawford. So obviously Terence Crawford fans, they like that. And they clearly don't like Geron Ennis because he's a threat to Terence Crawford. So they're going to naturally side with Brian Norman Jr. I'm just giving y'all the thought process. I'm telling you, I'm going to break it down from every fighter. You got Shakur Stevenson fans. They like he's in the same situation that Brian Norman Jr. is in. So clearly they're going to side with Brian Norman Jr. because they want Shakur Stevenson to be able to do the same thing with Gervonta Davis. I don't care if my price tag is not as high when it comes to everybody else. But when it comes to you, I'm gonna make it as hard as possible to make this fight happen. I want the house, I want the cow, I want the grass, I want the land, I want it all. And Brian Norman Jr. and Senior clearly have stated the same things. They clearly would take $200,000 to fight anybody else, but they want upwards of $2 million to fight Geron Ennis. Just simple as that. So that, and they are connected with Bud Crawford as well. You see how that all correlated together? Yeah, I feel you. Keyshawn Davis fans, and I like everybody I just spoke of. I like a lot, especially in the ring. I like Keyshawn Davis probably the most outside of the ring, but Terence Crawford, Brian Norman Jr., Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis. These was all fighters that I actually like because no matter, if I think he ducking Geron Ennis or not, I like Brian Norman Jr. I think Brian Norman Jr. is a good fighter. I think especially for him being as young as he is, he got a lot of things he could work on and grow, but that's what happens with age. He's naturally going to do that, get better, keep working and things like that. So I don't really have to harp on that too much. I know his dad understand that part too. But Keyshawn Davis fans, obviously, they train with Terence Crawford and Bo Mack and all of them. And Shakur Stevenson is their best friend. So, and they want to be able to do the same exact thing to Gervonta Davis that Brian Norman Jr. is trying to do to Geron Ennis as well. You see how all of that come together? Devin Haney fans, I heard arguing for him. You want to know why Devin Haney fans is going to argue for that? Because they started this. They are the originators of this. So they have to take Brian Norman Jr.'s side because that's exactly what they want to do. That's exactly what they still are trying to do. Like I said, Geron Ennis is the new Gervonta Davis, and that's just how that's going to go. They're going to always, when you talk about him fighting one fighter, they're going to use Terence Crawford. When you talk about Terence Crawford, they're going to use another fighter. No different than they do with Gervonta Davis. When you talk about Gervonta Davis and you're a Devin fan, why he won't fight Shakur? When you talk about Shakur Stevenson fans, well, why he ain't try to fight Why he ain't do more to fight Shakur? Why he ain't fight Devin and blah. It's all the same thing. And Keyshawn Davis fans, they are a mixture of all three. So they just, add on wherever they can to support their guy. But the basis of it, they're going to always take the B-side fighters that are very good at what they do. They're going to take the B-side fighters side because they want their guy to have the leverage. They want their guy to get the most out of the fight and feel like, well, because you got people running with the narrative, well, the A side should want it. The A side got to send the offer. The A side got to sacrifice and all of this, that, and the third. But the funny thing is how all of that is just from the beginning of the time, how that none of that was true. Because have you ever heard anybody tell Canelo Alvarez to do that? I'll wait. When Canelo Alvarez, actually, it's the opposite when it comes to Canelo Alvarez. Guys be like, I'll take whatever. I just want to fight him. People tell you if you want to fight Canelo, then you already know what it is. Like, you either accept it or you don't really want to fight Canelo. But when it comes to Gervontadavis, it's all of this other stuff, even though Canelo Alvarez had been suspended for PEDs, the whole nine. The same fans that understand when it comes to Canelo Alvarez and argue for it be Devin Haney fans, but mad at Ryan Garcia for popping dirty. But then you'll defend the Canelo Alvarez and say, well, Gervontadavis is not Canelo Alvarez. You know who else Gervontadavis is not? He's not Shakur Stevenson. He's not Keyshawn Davis. He's not Devin Haney. He's not Tio or none of them. He's passed all of them as well. So if he's not Canelo Alvarez, that is fine. But neither is the fighters you are talking about, and he's over all the rest of them, though. Geron Ennis is by far at the 147, 154 division, definitely the second most popular fighter, by far. Earl Spence don't even count because we don't even know if Earl Spence fighting or coming back. But like right at this moment, it's Terence Crawford and Geron Ennis at the 147, 154 divisions that are the top names in the best divisions in boxing. Definitely 154. 154, even though it don't have the names, it has the most depth. Even though it don't have the names, it has the most notable good fighters of any division, for real. Maybe besides 135, but that's like 135 very top heavy. So if you want to talk about a division that's absolutely stacked, I would say I like 126. I like 154, I would say, is probably the most stacked. And then 168, I feel as though it's pretty stacked with a lot of fighters. Even though they got lesser named fighters, I think they got a lot of depth up there as well. Because David Benavidez and David Morrell both said that they'll be willing to go back to 168 and fight if the fights are there as well. So to me personally, like I said, man, Geron Ennis is the new Gervontadavis, and that's just how it is. And he's going to get a lot of the same criticism when people don't want to fight or when fights don't happen. They're going to put all the onus on him because he's basically in the same situation as Gervontadavis is, especially on the East Coast. He's probably the second coming when it comes to right behind Gervontadavis in popularity. Kyle would say Shakur Stevenson, but the difference is Geron not getting booed at home where people wasn't walking out. It's like, yeah, they both are popular on the East Coast, but one has when people question your entertainment value right there, I can't put you over Geron in this as far as popularity. Like I said, I think if Shakur Stevenson's not, let's say Shakur Stevenson fight Patty, and like I said, Geron Ennis fights Mario Barrios. More people are going to go to Mario Barrios' fight. If he fights Kid Austin, maybe, because they are both from Jersey, so it might be equal when it comes to that. But like, that's what I mean. I think more people will be willing to spend money to see Geron Ennis fight on the East Coast than Shakur Stevenson, even though Shakur Stevenson's name is a little above Geron Ennis. Not a lot though. Like, they're right there. So I just think Geron Ennis' trajectory right now is just in a better spot. Like, Shakur Stevenson got a lot of things around his name right now. But he go in there and dominate and stop. If he goes in there and stops Williams Zepeda, Shakur Stevenson to be right back where he want to be. And that's just honesty. If he goes in there and shines, I mean, and he stops Williams Zepeda, his popularity it'll take a jump. It'll be right back to where it was or where it was on the way of going a few years ago when he was at 130. So like I said, man, that's why you see the people defend Brian Norman Jr. that you see defend Brian Norman Jr. because it correlates to their favorite fighter or a fighter that they defend. It's the same argument, is what I'm saying. So he's going to get backing because he's not the first to use that argument or try to build a fight off of those bases. This is a script that we have seen a multitude of times before and still seeing. And Geron Ennis is going to have to deal with the same things that Abdullah Mason is dealing with currently too. If you want to fight, just give him the money. Just give him the 2.5 million. Then like Floyd Schofield's not a higher ranked opponent than Abdullah Mason. Why is it on Abdullah Mason, who's like that? It just don't make sense. But they try to find a way to make it make sense. So y'all already know what this is, though, right? Deem by any means, and I holla at y'all.